Park Row Books and Harper Audio present A Miracle Under the Christmas Tree. Real stories of hope, faith, and the true gifts of the season. By Jennifer Basye Sander. Performed by Marni Penning. Painted Christmas Dreams by D. Ambrose Stahl. Deirdre woke early, just like every December 25th. She tiptoed downstairs, hoping against hope that this would be the year her dream would come true. Her parents were already awake and seated at the kitchen table. That fact alone gave the young girl pause, as they were never downstairs on Christmas morning until much later.
"Morning, sleepyhead,"
Ben, Deirdre's father, said.
"About time you rolled out of the hay."
When Nancy, Deirdre's mother, tried to hide her giggle behind her coffee cup, Deirdre knew something was up. So began the short story, or some variation, that I wrote every year growing up. It was my dream to walk downstairs Christmas morning and find a paint horse tied outside the picture window. I, like most girls, was obsessed with horses. Usually that obsession passes like any other fad. Mine didn't. In fact, it set down roots so firm that not even marriage to a non-horse man could pull them up. Every year I wrote a similar story, dreaming of my paint horse, and gave it to my parents, hoping that they would get the hint. It seemed they never would. Every year I looked out the picture window to find an empty yard and disappointment, a vacant space where my horse ought to be. We were never deprived as kids, far from it, but I'd have gladly relinquished every toy, every item of clothing, even every horse statue and book for that dream horse. My childhood passed, as did many of my interests. Tennis? Too much work. Knitting? Not. Horses? Now, that was the constant passion in my life. I read about them, wrote about them, and even joined a 4-H club that taught about them. Of course, I also dreamed about them. My own horse, though, was always out of reach. My 2 older sisters each had a horse when they were younger, but in the words of my parents, they lost interest in the horses as soon as boys came along. How was that my fault? I didn't care about boys. Boys were dumb. This was my mantra even through my teen years, until the unthinkable happened. I met Ron. Ron and I came from similar working-class backgrounds and became best friends shortly after we met. Ron was perfect in every way, except that he barely knew the head from the tail of a horse. This, I thought, I could deal with. I might even teach him a thing or two. We were engaged within 6 weeks and married a year later. Some things you just know. We marked our 5th anniversary, then our 10th, and then suddenly we were looking forward to our 20th anniversary. Through all the years, my obsession with horses lived dormant, below the surface of other goings-on, but it was present nonetheless. Ron dealt with this quirk of mine the way he dealt with most things, with a quiet smile and an oh-well shrug of the shoulders, thinking I would get over it someday. But someday never came. The internet, however, did, and its information superhighway allowed me access to horses. A voyeuristic approach, I admit, but one which at least gave relief to some of my desire. I discovered a myriad of websites that listed horses for sale, and I haunted them all. I searched for paint horses, torturing myself looking at horses I knew I'd never own, until one day in December, when I found a website owned by Sea Light Paint Horses in Imesville, Maryland. I immediately searched the foals page. There, my pulse quickened from a minor trot of anticipation to a full-blown gallop at finding so many paint foals, from weanlings to long yearlings.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?